it was very formative because I think my life, and that happens to a lot of us, our life could go in two very different directions. And moving, taking, being taken away as a child from my home country really put me on a very different path, and it changed who I am. In the 1980s, there was a civil war in El Salvador, and it started in the countryside,
Mhm.
but it was progressively moving closer towards the city. And in 1989, it became very clear that the violence had escalated. There were shootings. We were caught in crossfire many times. Our house was directly targeted. We had guerrilla break into our home in the middle of the night.
Wow.
And this was a very unstable time. And a lot of families we knew, they lost children, they had people kidnapped. And my dad decided we have to leave, we have to leave. So we applied to a refugee, it was like a UN initiative, and they gave us a choice between Canada and Australia. And at the time, it was before Google. You couldn't Google
Right.
things. So
Right.
all we were shown was a temperature chart, and Canada was really cold.
Yes.
So
True.
we we picked Australia based on a little temperature chart, and
Yeah.
we were thrown into the unknown. So I spent my teenage years really learning a lot about resilience because I was in a new country. I didn't speak any English. I was an outsider. I was a foreigner. My friends had been all left behind. I had to start over. And now I look back, I think it was very formative
Yeah.
because I
Makes you
realized,
grow up
yeah,
quickly,
you
right?
grow up very quickly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it made me less afraid of change because once you survive change and you adapt, all of my life since has been quite an adventure. At the age of 17 or 18, I think I went to France. I worked as an au pair. I've traveled a lot. And I got married young, but we continued to build a business. We traveled. Um,
Is it
I,
something you always wanted to travel the world as much as you can?
I don't think travel is the word that I was seeking. I feel like I've always had an urgency to really live this life well.
Hmm.
And to me, travel is part of that. I'm the person that if you have a smorgasbord at a party, I want to try all the food, you know. And
Yeah.
and that's how I feel about life. I want to try it all. I want to see as much. I like this. I think so many people live like we have 100 years or 200 years, but
True.
nothing is guaranteed.
Yeah.
You know, I think some people live like we have 1,000 years, and there's just no urgency to do anything. Like it can be done next year. But
That
as you
was
and I
me.
know,
That was me. I actually was feeling like,
really,
oh, I can start all over again. It doesn't matter. Like I have time. Yeah, you
yeah.
you changed that perspective a little later for sure.
It does, right? But I think because of maybe my youth and seeing how fragile life is, and um being appreciative of a second chance. I've always been hungry for let's do it. Let's have kids, let's travel, let's have businesses, let's take risks, let's do things boldly, let's chase our dreams. I've always been really hungry to just try it all and do it all.